Hey everybody, welcome to a special Halloween edition of Childress Chats. I'm Kate Barr, your PTO president, and I'm here with Miss Childress, who is Ada Twist scientist today.
Hello.
We have collected all of your questions, and I have them in a stack in front of me, and we're gonna do some rapid fire Q&A with you. Ready?
If you ask me any questions that were not asked by parents, like pop quiz, like
Yes.
pop culture questions, I'm not gonna know the answer. So
That's fine.
if you're trying to trick me,
Yeah.
people are gonna laugh at me, but in a different way than what you're thinking.
Okay,
Like they're
noted.
making fun of me way.
Noted. They might also just be laughing at me. First is kind of a serious topic, and it's about the bond. Everybody's been talking about the bond. So we got a ton of questions. Generally speaking, folks want to know how the bond will impact DK8 if it passes and if it doesn't pass.
So that's a great question, and it is a hot topic right now. We had a bond information session last night where Brian Schultz, the Chief Operations Officer, and Dennis Lacaria, who is the Executive Director of Building and Operations, and they came out to talk first to our staff during our staff meeting, and then yesterday afternoon to our community. Last spring, we'll back up a little bit, last spring we were told that if the bond passes that we will be converting back to a K-5. We also learned during that conversation that we were having with the district that K-8s are being phased out by the district. And so there was the possibility back then that regardless of the bond passing, we may still be transitioning back to a K-5. That has both to do with capacity issues, because we are bursting at the seams, and also that CMS is transitioning away from this model. Lately, we have learned that that may not be the case, that if the bond does not pass, that we may remain at K-8. That was mentioned at the Davidson Town Hall meeting a couple weeks ago with Dr. Hill. And so this is a very long answer to say
That's great.
we're not exactly sure what, if the bond does not pass, how it will affect Davidson K-8. If the bond does pass, the plan is for a new middle school number 2, to be built off of Stumptown Road, and students who are zoned for Bailey Road Middle School right now, some of those kids will be rezoned to go to the new middle school number 2, and our middle school students would be reassigned to Bailey Middle School. We don't know the timing of that, and I know that that's a big question. Both my staff asked that question yesterday at the meeting, and then that was asked at the town hall meeting, and then it was also asked at the bond information session. The timing is unknown. What I will tell you is that November 14th, that's the first Board of Education meeting after we know the results of the bond vote, and the CMS crew, Brian Schultz, Dennis Lacaria, plans to present something to the Board of Education about all of these projects that the board has, that the bond affects, and timelines will be associated at that time. I've asked Brian Schultz and Dennis Lacaria to come back in December or January to help us understand what this means for us and to give us as much information as they can give us at that time. So sit tight. I know that's a lot of words to say that we don't really know right now. I will tell you that the number one thing that I'm committed to always and through this unknown is that I will communicate directly with you as soon as I have information. I'm not withholding anything, and I know that our community wants to know and needs to know, and so I'm committed to continuing to ask for more information so that I can give the best and quickest information possible.
Thank you. And I will add that there's some conflicting information coming out of the Board of Education and CMS, so all of you may have heard a ton of different things, and you all are probably right that you heard those things. So we really just don't know until the CMS crew presents their plan. What we do know is that the bond is $2.5 billion, and it covers 30 different projects across CMS. So it's not just our marvelous special school that's affected, it's schools all over our community. Super important to vote. You can vote early right now. As of last night, 214 people in Davidson had voted, which means there are at least 800 of you watching this who need to go and vote. You can vote at Town Hall, and then if you want more information about the bond, what's our website, Amanda?
So it's charmecschools.org childress.org/bond, and it has all of the bond information about new middle school too. And they also shared a lot of good information last night about the 2017 bond projects and how those had been progressing. So it's interesting information, and you can take a look at it there.
And we should know something in a couple weeks.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
On to our next favorite topic, the bathrooms. Got several questions about how we can make the bathrooms better.
Yep. So I guess this is the time that I have to do the unveiling announcement about how we're getting new toilets. So Dennis Lacaria, he supports buildings and infrastructure, and he is a voice in this bond information as well. I asked him recently for just a review of what our bathrooms look like. We have a lot of kids who are using not very many bathrooms, and so I asked what can be done about the bathrooms at DK8, and we're getting new toilets. We have old appliances, and it doesn't change everything, but I do think that it will change some things. Our new custodial crew, Toby Gibbs and Dexter Davis, are committed to keeping those bathrooms as clean as possible. We do need one thing that you can do to help as parents. We've noticed that there's been some not great bathroom behavior by some of our students in the bathrooms, throwing trash up at the ceiling and not in the trash can. And so our teachers are having conversations with kids about good bathroom etiquette and taking care of spaces. You can also have that conversation with your child. They're doing the best that they can with old appliances, and we've also requested for the bathroom partitions to be replaced because they have not been replaced for quite some time. So I know that it's a concern, and we are working on it.
Steps in the right direction.
Yeah,
that's
for sure.
exciting. Next question, are there any plans to have club offerings in the afternoons?
That's a great question. So clubs are fantastic, and they require a parent volunteer or a community volunteer and also a staff volunteer. And those two people have to work together to make this all happen. A lot of our staff is most available in the morning. So last year, Coding Club happened in the mornings. I think Battle of Books is happening in the mornings. And that's because the staff members who are committing to this extracurricular thing that's unpaid, that's when they're available. So if there are club ideas that you all have as a community, last year we got drama off the ground with the help of some of our school improvement team members. If there are ideas that you have, feel free to shoot them to Kate, and we can certainly work on getting interest out there because we need both you and a staff member to partner on that.
So davidsonpto@davidsonpto.org is how you can send us your club ideas and volunteer ability. Okay, still we're cleaning stuff up again.
Yes.
What can we do to beautify the cafeteria? One parent even suggested a tiger mural.
Oh, I love a tiger mural. I think that would be great. So the cafeteria is kind of a blank slate right now on purpose. There was a lot of stuff that happened in the last couple of years that was not aligned with our vision moving forward, and so we worked on getting a blank slate in there. The walls were repainted. As you know, most of you probably know, last spring our entire interior was repainted. So I'm totally open to the idea of a tiger mural. If you can paint a tiger mural and if you're interested in talking about that, I'd love to hear more about it. The back wall is huge and blank, and I think something there would be great. One small challenge just to think about when you're maybe offering your services or your abilities is that students line up along that wall, and so that was part of the issue with the paint that was there before. It just inadvertently gets yucky looking because kids scratch it up, not on purpose. So if you're interested, I'd love to talk with you about that because it definitely needs some work.
Send me another email, please, artistic parents. We're going to talk a little bit about school security.
Okay.
There's a little lockdown drill and all that business in here. How do we maintain school security during before school programs?
Great question. So I've said this before in parent squares. I'll say this again now. Keeping your child safe is my number one goal. There are a lot of other things that happen at school, but I know when I send my daughter to school, my expectation and my hope and wish every day is that she's safe. And so I take that really seriously. Our before school folks, for example, chess club, in the past I think there was a little bit more of a feeling of safety with the door just being propped open. That is not something that we're doing anymore. I've asked, for example, Norma Dunbar, who's hosting the chess club, I've asked her to be at the door greeting people as they walk in. Back to the volunteer piece, that does add another person who needs to be involved in these club offerings, but the idea is that she's waiting there and that she sends them to the place where there's another adult. So that is, the doors stay locked and kids come at the time that they're supposed to come. Chess club, by the way, starts at 7:45, not 7:30. I know that there was a little bit of confusion about that. And yeah, if you have specific questions, if there are things that have happened that you're concerned about, feel free to reach out to me directly about that. Amanda1.childress@cms.k12.nc.us, and let me know if there are gaps that we have with our before school programs.
Still in the security realm.
Yep.
What happens for students in the freestanding classrooms during a lockdown?
Yep,
Or
so
lockdown drill?
Yep, so they lock down just like the rest of our classrooms do. We all did an active survival training this year as a staff. We went over to Huff High School and we took training from someone whose name is Detective Wes Eubanks, and he specializes in thinking through school safety through the lens of the scariest thing possible. And he actually came out and visited our school campus. He walked through with Preston Potter, who's our campus security associate. You've probably seen him around. And they have looked at each door in each of our mobile units and how to make sure that they're secure always, and especially during a lockdown. So we have internal procedures to make sure that those mobile units are very safe.
We had a few parents who were concerned about their kids feeling upset during a lockdown
Yep.
drill. I will say as a parent, I'm always upset that we even have to have lockdown drills, but what do you all do to minimize the impact on the kids?
Great question. So we have them twice a year. There are some schools in CMS that choose to have them more often than that. I choose for us not to have them more often than that because I do think that there's an impact to students. Even though our teachers are incredible and they are very reassuring, it's different. It's out of their routine and it can feel scary. So we just do them twice a year, which is what's required. And our teachers, as you all know, do an incredible job of making sure that they're saying the right things without saying too much. So I recently spoke with the kindergarten teacher to ask her specifically, what do you say during a lockdown drill? And she said that she always avoids the use of the term bad guy because she doesn't want to plant any sort of fear or anything that, maybe kids aren't thinking of. We're thinking of them as adults, but maybe the kids aren't thinking of them. And the kindergarten teachers explain it as, we're just practicing what we would do if there's someone in our school who shouldn't be here. And they just leave it at that. After each sort of event, either a lockdown drill, a few years ago when we had the real tornado event that happened and we were in the duck and cover position for a long time, we had counselors available who were helping support kids both during and after that, and that's something that we do with lockdown drills, and certainly we would do if there was a real event too, that counselors are available if students need extra support.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We have some parents of younger students who are wondering about when their children might overlap with older students, like kindergarten and first graders overlapping with middle schoolers, and what you all do to make sure that's an appropriate interaction.
Great question. I know that's a big question mark unknown. You send your babies to us when they're 5 and then you're not sure if they're running into the 14-year-olds. They usually don't. So this year we were really intentional about building the lunch schedule so that there wasn't as much overlap as there has been in years past. 8th grade has lunch by themselves, so they don't share the cafeteria with anyone. They are, of course, in the lower building when that happens. And so if first grade is in Connect, which first grade is in Connect when 8th grade is at lunch, and if a first grade student has to go to the bathroom, there's the possibility that an 8th grade student would also be in the bathroom. We have a lot of adults who are supporting 8th grade lunch, and so they are monitoring students who are leaving the cafeteria for the bathroom. And essentially that's it. 6th and 7th grade has lunch together. They're the only grade levels in the cafeteria at that time. Again, 2nd grade has Connect when 6th and 7th grade are at lunch. So there's the possibility for overlap there, but we're closely monitoring those transitions. We also have lots of great opportunities for them to overlap. So we have our Tiger House meetings when we did last Friday, and we've intentionally paired up older students with older classes with younger classes, and they come together and the older kids teach the younger kids a lesson about the character trait of the month. So our big kids taught the little kids about responsibility last week, and it was awesome, and the little kids think that the big kids are so cool. And that's one example of how we're intentionally pairing our students so that they get to see the role models of the big kids, and we kind of take advantage of this sweet K-8 thing we have going on.
My kids love that.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a new way that we're trying to make houses work within the context of what we have. So last year we had young leaders, and we transitioned the young leaders to giving that opportunity to all of our older students, and so that's when those lessons are happening, and it's pretty great. It's cool to watch. Yeah.
I'm excited to ask you this question.
I'm excited to answer it.
Can we have swings on the playground?
We can. Yay! I am so glad that somebody asked this question. This is one of those things that when it was asked and I got the answer, I was like, oh, why did I not do this a year ago? So I had Lisa Parham Grady, who's our school treasurer, reach out to building services and ask, how do we get swings? Do we have to pay for swings? And I was told that we just have to put in a work order for swings with the location that we want them. So Sarah Calamita, who co-leads the beautification team, did some scoping out of our school grounds earlier this week, and we think we have a location where it may work. We're gonna double check a couple more things, and then we're gonna put in a work order, and fingers crossed we're gonna have swings.
Oh, that was really
cool.
fun.
Yeah.
Yay, who knew?
I know, not me.
Okay, back to the lunchroom. Can we have healthier lunch options?
So there are lots of healthy lunch options in the cafeteria. The menu is available through the DK8 website. You can link directly to the school nutrition website where they have the monthly menu. There's always vegetables and fruits. There are snack options that may be getting some of this unhealthy chatter going on. Kids can go through and buy chips and other things like that, but those are not part of the meal itself. The meal itself generally has some good options. So take a look at that menu, and if you have questions after you've looked at the menu, feel free to reach out to Sekou, our cafeteria manager, or me.
And I'm gonna take off my PTO hat for a second and put on my public health hat. It's really important as families that we're careful about how we talk about school lunches in front of our kids. There are some students here who the school breakfast or school lunch might actually be their best or only access to food during the day, and we don't want them to feel shame about their opportunity to eat. So have whatever feelings you have about whatever lunch options are on the menu, but try to make sure that your kids are being supportive of their classmates who might be eating a school lunch.
Absolutely. And school pizza on school pizza days is maybe not the healthiest option, but it still smells really good, and sometimes I have that on Pizza Fridays. Sekou usually has a good vegetable with it too.
And there are nutritionists at the CMS level who establish these menus, so it's not
using
like
federal guidelines. It's all
Right.
super aligned with federal guidelines and what they have to feed kids, and yeah, so it's pretty vetted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. How do I let you all know that my child will be absent?
Great question. So let your child's teacher know first. That's the number one thing, because your child's teacher is taking attendance every morning and looking for their face to come to the doorway. So let them know that your child is going to be out. And then there's also a report and absence form that's on the website. And that is important because that allows our attendance secretary, who's Mr. Irvin, our new front desk secretary, it allows him to see if it should be excused or unexcused.
Easy enough.
Yeah.
Let's talk about backpacks. I think this question comes up a fair amount. What can be done to lighten middle schoolers' backpacks, and are lockers a possibility?
Lockers are not a possibility. So we were told that a couple of years ago. We had people come out to look to see if there would be space. There's not space. And there's actually, in middle schools around the district, lockers aren't used anymore. Unfortunately, they became another thing where stuff could be kept, and so a lot of schools have moved completely away from lockers, even if they physically have them in their buildings. One big thing parents of middle schoolers to check on is to check your child's backpack to see if they have more than what they need to have. A lot of times, if I'm looking through to see an agenda to see if somebody has written down their homework because I'm trying to help them with something, we'll pull out what's in their backpack and there's like 5 extra notebooks in there. That's not the case for everyone, and the backpacks are still heavy, but sometimes kids are carrying unnecessary things. So that can be something that as you're preparing for the week of school, that you're thinking about what all is in my kid's backpack and is there anything that we can take out? Because electives and science and social studies are both A day and B day. You could potentially have a rotation of those materials, those notebooks for A day and B day, but that requires a little bit of an extra layer of responsibility, and I know that the weeks get hard. I don't know that I can handle that for my own kiddo, so that's an option, but we are aware of it, and it's something that it's a hard situation because we know that they are carrying a lot.
Is it possible that backpacks have been heavy since I was in high school?
Maybe.
I think so.
There were textbooks when we were in high school, and we carried those around in addition to, I guess we didn't carry Chromebooks around, but yeah.
I think this question is also a little bit more middle school aligned. There are so many different sites.
Yep.
What are they all for, and how should parents use them?
Great question. So Power School, I just want to look at the difference. So Power School is where you and your child can visit to look at grades. So that's something that, again, part of your regular practice with your child getting ready for the week or winding down from the week. You can look to see missing assignments, and you can look at grades. So that's
what
Power
grade
School.
will students start seeing stuff in Power School? Like my kindergartner doesn't have grades in Power School.
3rd grade.
Okay.
Yep, so 3rd grade is when you start to get grades in Power School. K2, their report card is different, and so 3rd grade is when that starts. And 3rd grade kind of eases into it too. 3rd grade parents, most of you have had your parent-teacher conference by now, and you know that we kind of ease into it during the first quarter of 3rd grade. CMS Go and Beeble are the same, and it is a new reading site that the district is funding that is nonfiction text, and students can select things that are interesting to them to read about. It's kind of gamified, so a lot of our kids really like it, and that's actually being used in 4th and 5th grade as well as 6th through 8th grade. That website, CMSGo/Beeble, I'm not sure what it looks like on the user end, but that's available to you at home, and you can access that information at home if you choose to look for work outside of school.
And is that available outside of 4th through middle schoolers?
It is not.
Okay.
So it's specifically designed for middle schoolers in CMS, and they're piloting it this year, and then our kids loved it in 6th through 8th grade, and they were using it during Tiger Time, and so we actually asked for access to it for our 4th and 5th graders, and they added us on because our middle school kids had done such a great job and had signed in. So that was kind of a favor done to us, but it's more appropriate for older kids.
It sounds cool.
And then Launchpad is just where everything is housed. So that's a change from last year. It's to make everything more secure, and that's where that's where the kids, when they're at school, access all of their different apps that they use and things that they use.
And that's the thing, we got all those emails about password changes for the big together. Yeah. Thank you. We're almost done.
Okay.
So I stuck in 2 questions of my own.
Okay.
They're not pop culture.
Okay, good. I didn't know the answer.
What are you proud of from this past quarter?
Oh, I love that question. I'm proud of so many things. I'm proud of carpool. So I know that sounds really simple, but on the first week of school, it's a lot to take on a change that impacts so many kids and is so public, right? So I stood the first couple of days of the school year And it took forever those first couple of days, and my heart was literally, I'm going like this and smiling, and my heart is beating fast because I'm like, oh my gosh, this may not work. But it does, it works, and it's so organized, and kids know where they're supposed to go, and it's safe. And that was my number one thing, is to make sure the kids aren't running up and down our skinny sidewalk looking for cars. So I'm proud of carpool,
Yes.
as silly as that sounds. Afternoon carpool and morning carpool, I think, have both gone better. And I'm also really proud of just our school team, because we have in K through 5, we have at least one new staff member on each of those teams. And then our middle school team has a ton of new staff members. And sitting in our grade level chairs meeting a couple weeks ago, one of the things that we do at the beginning is we ask for team celebrations, what's going well on your team. And almost every single one of the teams said, our team is amazing, partially because of this new person who's on their team. And that's really cool to hear, because it's scary. I counted it up yesterday during our staff meeting, and we hired almost over 20 new people last year. And these people are the ones who are taking care of your kids every day. So we do not take those decisions lightly. And to hear how well received they are by their teams, and then to see them in action is incredible. So I'm really proud of that. Yeah.
Last one, what are you excited for in this next quarter?
Great question too. Thanks, Kate.
You're welcome.
This is when we get to see kids grow. So I'm really excited. We have all of our beginning of year data behind us. We've collected all of that. We're doing benchmark assessments right now. So we're getting like a pulse check on how everything is going in the building. And then by the end of next quarter, we'll be almost done with the middle of year data collection process. We'll be able to see how everything that we have in place is working, and how kids are growing and responding to our instruction. And then we'll get to make decisions about, if we still have areas that we need to grow because we're not growing all kids, then we'll be able to make those adjustments. So I'm excited about that.
Cool, that's all the questions.
All right.
Our goal is to do this at least once a quarter, so if you have questions that come up for you anytime between now and the next one, just send them to me at davidsonpto@davidsonpto.org. Hopefully someone who is more tech savvy than I am will pop a little thing up right here that has that written out for you, right? And you puck it. And yeah, I look forward to doing it. I wonder what costumes we'll wear next time.
Maybe not.
Maybe
since it won't
not.
be
I don't know.
Halloween. So it won't be Tall Tale Tuesday, but we'll see. Thanks,
Valentine's
everybody.
Day. Thank you all.
We appreciate your time.